Hello, everyone. Today's conversation is about a topic that I am very passionate about, but it is also one that sometimes can be a little controversial in the yoga industry. And I'm hoping that through our conversation today, maybe it can be a bit less so on the controversy side, and we can just kind of break down some of the things that I think can be misconceptions and as part of this. So, what I want to talk about today is the responsibility of a yoga teacher to market their yoga classes when they teach at a studio or a gym. And a lot of what I hear in kind of the different sides of this, there's some people that are of the mindset of like, of course they should market their classes. And some people who are like, absolutely not. It's not the responsibility of a yoga teacher to fill their room, like fill their class. That's the job solely of the studio owner to get people in the door and into class. And I fall somewhat in the middle where I think it is the responsibility of both. And so I want to start off by saying that, of course, it is the responsibility of a yoga studio owner to run and market their yoga studio and create an audience to get people coming into the door to take yoga classes. That I'll probably do a separate conversation on, specifically on yoga studios and some of the things that I feel like studio owners should be responsible for. But today I really want to talk about why I think that it is so important for a yoga teacher to participate in marketing the classes that they teach at a studio, and how it's not something that I think is just necessarily like should be done out of the goodness of a yoga teacher's heart, but why I think it's actually really beneficial for you as a yoga teacher to do this. Now, I think for a long time, there was a situation in which yoga teachers were taken advantage of and expected to do things that they were not fairly compensated for. And I think that unfortunately is still a problem in our industry, is that yoga teachers are underpaid and they're expected to do things because it's yogic and they're not necessarily compensated for that time. So I get the pushback a little bit on this like expectation of teachers showing up to do all of this work and volunteering, and then like if they don't volunteer, then they're going to get dropped from their classes. And none of that is fair. But that's not really what I'm here to talk about. I'm really more so focused today on this idea of just a simple, like simply marketing the classes that you teach at a yoga studio or at a gym, and trying to make sure that those classes stay filled and hit the highest numbers that they can, and that you get new students in your class on a regular basis. And here's why I think that as a yoga teacher, it is your job to participate in marketing your classes. The first reason is that the majority of yoga teachers are hired as 1099 independent contractors at a yoga studio or a gym. And if you are a 1099 contractor, then that means that you own your own business. You are a small business owner, right? You are not an employee of the yoga studio. You are a business owner providing a service to the studio that you teach at. And part of that service is, of course, showing up and teaching your classes. But the other piece of it is ensuring the success of those classes. When you're hired as a contractor, you want to do the absolute best job that you possibly can, right? If I'm hired as an independent writer for a company and I'm going to write their social media captions, right? It's not like, oh, I'm just going to write a few captions of a couple words, but I'm not going to include any hashtags or any emojis or anything. No, like you want to make those captions the absolute best that there can be. And I think that that's true for yoga teachers as well. If you run your own business as a yoga teacher, if you're an independent contractor at different studios and gyms, you not only want to show up and teach classes, you want to show up and give your students the experience that encourages them to keep coming back again and again and again. And you want to participate in trying to get people into those classes so that you can continue to do your best and you can continue to earn money. It's a partnership with the yoga studio that you're teaching at. Right? Yoga studios take on a lot of costs. They're paying for the rent. They're paying for the Wi-Fi, the sound system that you use to plug your playlist into, the front desk staff that comes in and greets them. They're usually cleaning the studio afterwards. They're paying for marketing and all of that kind of stuff that goes into also getting people in the door. Hopefully, they should. There is the argument that some studio owners don't support their teachers. That's a separate conversation. But assuming a studio owner is trying to do their best to fill your classes, you as a yoga teacher in partnership with that yoga studio also have a responsibility beyond just showing up to teach the class, right? They're providing the space, you're providing the teaching, but together you're working on making that class as successful as possible. So that's one thing. And the next part is, even if you're not a 1099 contractor, so let's say you are hired as a W-2 employee of the yoga studio, as an employee of any company, your job is to do the absolute best job that you can to ensure the success of the company and to ensure the success of you as an employee of that company. And filling the classes and making sure that people come to the studio and that a community environment is created is part of that. So I think inherently, whether you're a contractor or an employee, part of the role of a yoga teacher, if you choose to be in partnership with a studio, is that you have to participate in getting people into your classes. So I think that just comes with the territory in order to ensure a true collaboration where the studio owners feel like they're taking on costs and responsibility and all this stuff of providing the space. And you as the teacher are helping to participate and teaching great classes and ensuring that those students come back again and again and doing everything you can to get more and more people in the door. Now, the other reason I think this is important, that's more of like the legal side of stuff, right? Just kind of like the general responsibility, why I think that it is in fact your job as a teacher. But the other piece of it that I think is really not talked about enough is that it benefits you as a teacher to have more students in your class. So if you are your own business owner, if you are a yoga teacher, which means you own a yoga business, you get paid to teach yoga classes, you want to do the best thing that you possibly can to ensure the success of your yoga business as an individual. And having more people in your group classes helps you to be able to do that. And here's why. The first reason is that most studios, or many studios, I shouldn't say most, many studios will pay teachers on a per head basis. Or maybe like there's a flat fee and then you get paid per head on top of that. So in that situation, of course, if there's more people in your classes, you're going to make more money for the time that you're giving to show up and teach them, right? So if you get to make more money, that's a good thing. This is your job. And so the more that you can do to market your classes and help get people in the door, it has a direct correlation to the financial success that you can earn in the classes that you're teaching. And of course, it benefits the partnership too, right? The studio gets some of the money in that setup from the students coming in to take class. And if you're paid per head, you're also getting some of the money for what the students are paying to take that class. And so it helps both parties in this partnership to be able to earn more money per class if you're doing as much as you can to get more people through the door. So it benefits you financially. Let's say that it's a studio situation where you don't get paid per head. You get paid a flat rate regardless of who signs up. For you as a yoga studio or yoga teacher, business owner, a yoga business owner, it still benefits you to have more people in your class. The greater you can grow your audience, the greater amount of people you have to market the other things that you do. I always say to teachers, like, teaching group classes should not be, if you want to make a career out of being a yoga teacher, the end goal is not to just make as like your full income from teaching group classes. You would have to teach so many, you would be completely burnt out and exhausted. If you're going to try to create a career path as a yoga teacher, that's the stepping stone. That's casting the wide net. That's exposing you to people in your community. The more people you have in your classes, the more full your classes are, the greater the audience that gets to know and connect with you becomes. And then when you put together workshop offerings and yoga retreats and different types of trainings where you have the ability to earn more on those things, you have an audience of people to market them to, right? So if you can get people in the door to your class, if you can then share the thing that you're excellent at and that you love with them, and you get them coming back again and again, week after week, you become their teacher. When you turn around and say, hey, I'm going to Bali, Mexico, Europe, wherever, to lead a yoga retreat, come with me. Of course, they're going to want to come with you. You were the one that got them into that studio, that got them into your class. They fell in love with being in your class, and they would love to travel the world with you, where you're going to teach them more yoga. And now you've developed an audience that's committed to continue learning from you, and you can have them participate in some of these higher priced items where you have the ability to earn more money and grow as a teacher. Without that wide net from those group classes, you might not have an audience to market that stuff to, right? And so it's inherently beneficial for you to do whatever you can to get more people in the door to your yoga classes, because that's where people get that initial exposure to you. And that's where you get to build those relationships and those connections to people, and then be able to share what you love and what you can earn money doing as a yoga teacher. So by taking the extra effort and the extra steps to help market your classes and fill your classes as much as you can, you directly benefit yourself, right? So then let's talk now, right? If we can agree that it's beneficial to, I guess the argument becomes like, when I hear people say like, it's not up to the yoga teacher to do it. But why? Why wouldn't you want to, right? Why wouldn't you want to put in the time and the effort to try to get people into your classes so that you can create more of a community experience, so that you can create more energy in the room, and so that you can share the other offerings of the things that you present? So if we then can agree that the yoga teacher should participate in marketing their classes, oftentimes the next question becomes, okay, but I don't really know how to do that. Like, how do I market my classes? And we could hopefully offer an entire marketing course in business of yoga trainings on this, but some of the most basic things you can do, and when I talk about marketing in this way, a really important thing is that I'm not saying that you as a yoga teacher need to be investing money in running ads about your yoga class, right? And doing advertising for your class. That's the job of the studio owner who has a business and is going to take on advertising costs and try to put that out there to get people into the yoga studio. That is, if you're opening a yoga studio, that's part of the stuff. There's marketing and advertising costs. For you as a yoga teacher, I don't think that you need to be spending money to try to get people into your yoga classes, but spending your time and sharing your energy to do so is something that you can do. And so when I talk about marketing, I'm not talking about some kind of crazy, super intense sales funnel situation to try to get people in the door. It's as simple as showing up at the yoga studio and introducing yourself to people, right? You can market your classes by being a student in other people's classes and just being friendly to the person sitting next to you. Oh, hey, have you ever taken so-and-so's class before? Oh, that's nice, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, no, I actually teach here too. You should totally come to my class. I'd love to have you. That's it. And now you've invited someone into your class. And if they come into your class, they spend more money at the studio, they become a greater part of the community, and now they're exposed to you. That can be marketing. Being a part of the yoga studio community that you're teaching at, taking other people's classes, being a presence there so that people get to know and see you and come take your class too. That's marketing. That's heart-centered marketing, where you get to show up consciously and be part of the community that you're teaching in, right? That you give back to. You can create that community with the studio owners and with the other teachers. Another thing that's marketing would be teaching your class, right? Sharing a Dharma talk in your class, and then after class, going and doing an Instagram post about that Dharma talk. And then when you have a student that was in class follow you on Instagram and they make a comment saying oh, class was so great today, it's responding to them. Hey, thank you so much. It was great to have you. It's sending them a DM. I love having you in class, and engaging with them so that you stay top of mind, not just at the studio, but they think of you in other scenarios and other places. It's showing up on social media and sharing the offerings and the things that are happening at the studio that you're a part of, helping to promote the other teachers that are there so that you can work together to cross-promote the classes, the workshops, the trainings, the things that are all happening within the community. Those are simple, easy things, and they're about creating connection, right? They're about using social media, using marketing tools as a way to more deeply connect with your students outside of just the time that they spend on a yoga mat in your yoga class. And so I think this idea of yoga teachers shouldn't be responsible for marketing their classes If you're talking about it like it's not their responsibility to spend money to get people through the door, I agree. I don't think that's the job of the yoga teacher. But I do think it's a reasonable expectation of a studio owner to say, hey, you're teaching here at the studio. I'm paying the rent. I have a lot of overhead costs. I'm paying you for the service you offer of showing up. Let's work together. Help me out. Come to class. Be part of the community. Talk about your class on social media. Hand out like business cards and class cards when you stop at whatever yoga store, you're getting your yoga mats from, or your yoga clothes, or you're out to dinner and you talk about the fact that you're a yoga teacher. Invite someone into your class. Make it top of mind and use the human connections that you can make on a regular basis as your number one marketing tool to get people into your class and into the door. The more that you do this, the greater sense of community that you foster as a teacher, the more connected your students feel to you, and they're in it for the long haul. They become friends with the other people in the class who keep coming back again and again. And when you foster that level of community, that's how true success happens for yoga teachers, for the yoga studios, and then for everybody, right? I think one of the things that I'm probably most proud of in what Patrick and I have built over the years is that there are people that take my yoga class here at the YogaRenew headquarters that took my class at the very first studio that I ever taught at, where I did my first 200-hour teacher training, where Patrick was my first yoga teacher. And they have followed us all the way through in the different iterations of who we are because we took the time to get to know their names, to get to know that they have children, to say hi when we're walking down the street, to invite them to our workshops, to DM them back when they message us. Right? They show up and they're supporting YogaRenew now, not because I ran Facebook ads to them, but because I saw them and treated them as people, and I marketed the thing that I love most to them and said, please keep coming back. Marketing is connection and an invitation. And I think if your job as a yoga teacher is to build those connections with your students, you do so as an extension of your class when you participate in marketing the classes that you teach. So if we can reframe our mindset around marketing and not make it this big, overcomplicated, scary thing, and not make it so systematic and sales funnely and data driven, like it needs to be, yes, at some point there's a conversation, and I could talk about that too and teach that too, how to do the data, how to set up the funnels. Absolutely, there's a need for that for true business success. But at its core, just participating in a heart-centered approach to connecting with students outside of your class and getting more people through the door to take your classes is beneficial to you as a teacher. It's beneficial to the studio owner and beneficial to the community that you're working on creating together. If we work together a little bit more and don't make it so like this is what studio owners should do and this is what teachers should do and there's no like gray area, like let's work together and offer a better experience to our students, offer a better experience to each other, and share the thing that we love in a way that helps to bring everybody success. To take a look at things with an abundance mindset and know that the more that we give, the more that we get. And so there's never harm done by doing the best that we can to bring success all around. So market your classes. If you need help doing so, reach out to us. We have tips and ways that we can share with you to help get you started on that if it feels overwhelming. And if it really feels overwhelming and you're like, I have a very specific question, please let us know. We're always working on creating trainings and courses and things like that to help get you started. And we'd love to know where you're stuck. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I love you. And I'm just grateful that you're here and for this community that we are co-creating together. Have a beautiful rest of your day.